Voila, Chatroom's on.
Chatroom, what's it all about?
Let's start.
Chatroom, what's it all about?
Let's start.
Morality. Is there still any left?
Life is about choices.
Everyone has an opinion.
Debate is always good. Let's chat about it. Let's start.
Ngiyanibingelela nonke emakhaya, you're in the chat room right here on SABC1 Mzansi for sure. This is where no personal dilemma is too hard for us to tackle. So if you do have a dilemma that you'd like us to help you with, you know how we do it on the chat room. We'll find you experts to help you make an informed decision. As Heritage Day approaches, we are hearing a lot about the importance of preserving our mother tongues. English continues to dominate as the preferred language, even in black homes, and this is worrying to indigenous language preservation advocates. Sebolelo, however, has come to the chat room to say she doesn't understand why there's such an effort to preserve vernacular languages. Her children speak only English, and she's not bothering herself with teaching them any indigenous South African languages. Here's more on Sebolelo. Take a look.
Chatroom's on.
Let's chat about it. Let's start.
My name is Unisha Mate. We are an English-speaking family in my household. And the problem that I have, the dilemma that we have in most cases, when we get the visitors by our friends, there is no problem of our speaking English. But immediately the family visits, then there is a huge problem. Like they judge us, like we make ourselves better. I don't understand why do they have to judge us. Because I mean, we live in a modern world whereby the world is highly technologically advanced. Everything is being done by English. You go for interviews, wherever you go, it's an English-speaking language. I just want the Chatroom to bring the experts, just to come and explain to the people, because I don't know what is so wrong for me to speak English with my children. Maybe if they come and explain to the people why should we speak or whatever, do everything in English, maybe I will be able to understand, maybe I'll never feel offended anymore.
Chatroom's on.
Let's chat about it. Let's start.
So when I guess, Chele, what is your view? Is it important for you to know your mother tongue? Please tell us on Facebook, on Twitter, and on thechatroom.co.za. Our hashtags are #thechatroom and #Vernac. Masbuyage, Sebolelo joins us in studio where she's going to face African language preservation advocates right here in the chat room. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Debate is always good. Let's chat about it. Let's start. Debate is always good. Let's chat about it. Let's start.
Welcome back into the chat room. Is it important for you to know your mother tongue? That's the question we're asking today. Heritage Day is upon us, and indeed, this is the day we celebrate our collective heritage as a rainbow nation with our various cultures and languages. Before the break, however, we heard from Sebolelo, who says she only speaks English to her children and doesn't see the need for them to speak Mzansi vernac languages, because these indigenous languages and dialects won't add much value to her young ones in modern day SA. She wants to know why there's such a drive to preserve these vernac languages. To answer her question, we have Ms. Abase Mlobedzi from the Kara Institute. We're also joined by Dr. Rakwena Munareng, who is the CEO of the Pan-South African Language Board, and Ubusisiwe Bacela joins us in studio, who agrees with Sebolelo that vernacular languages don't have a real place in the global society and the way we're moving forward. So you two at home, you're also our panelist, so please do join in this discussion and use our hashtags which are on the screen right now, #thechatroom and #vernac. You can also post your comments on Facebook, Twitter, and on thechatroom.co.za. Please do tag us. Our social media details are on the screen right now, so let's get chatting. Sebolelo, thank you for joining us and everyone else in studio today. I know you prefer to be called Unisha.
Exactly.
She says exactly. Tell me, why do you think Uguti, our indigenous languages don't have any relevance in today's society?
I don't see any relevancy there.
Why?
What are we going to do with our Zulu, Sotho, or whatever language you use?
So
They
you
know.
don't think it's important for them to know?
I don't think so. They know it. They
Yeah.
know.
They just don't
But
speak
it's
it.
not important to speak it.
Okay.
As long as they know, it's fine.
CEO, it's not important. They know the language, but they don't have to speak it. What do you have to say?
You see, language constructs reality. Language creates knowledge. The new data, the new information that comes is carried through language. So if you bar the isiZulu from doing that, you are robbing the world of a different dimension that it could have added to the new body of knowledge and even to science.
That's,
So it's very important. It's because she's my sister, I'll take a stick and hit her, not in front of everybody. But you're not doing service to your own identity and to the contribution of Africa in the construction of knowledge for the world. The world is robbed of a critical dimension if African languages and their knowledges, there's no such kind of word in English, but their knowledges are not advancing and adding to what is going on.
okay, Busi, what would your response be?
Well, firstly, I think African languages are very relevant. It's imperative to teach and know our African languages. I as an English teacher, use sometimes the African or African languages to explain it better, because you have to explain it first in their language that they understand and then translate it to English for them to get it. We live in a world where English is the medium of instruction. We live in a world where it is the language of business. So it is also very important for them to know the language and to master it and to do things with the language that even the people that created it can't do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sebolelo, I want to go back to the whole issue of saying that you are doing your children a disservice by not exposing them or allowing them to explore isiZulu or any other vernacular language. How do you feel about that?
No, for me, it really works. Because my child now, he's 13, my last born. But he can teach the children, the matric children, through English. And he is more advanced.
Yeah.
With technology, you can
And you
name
think
it.
that he wouldn't be as advanced if he was speaking Zulu or Tsonga or whatever language?
No.
Huh? I would say, what is your response to that?
You know, unfortunately, if you choose other languages, there's a danger of aligning yourself with other culture or other language. So now you are identifying yourself with something else that you are not. You are something else, but now you are choosing to identify, but that's not a real you.
Yeah.
You are just trying to identify yourself with it.
Yeah, Sebolelo, that you are now identifying, or rather your children, or yourself as well, because you guys speak English at home, are identifying with a culture that you are not.
I'm disagreeing with my sister.
Why?
My children know who they are. They are born Tsongas. They know that they are the Tsongas. But we are comfortable in our language, the language that we choose to speak in the house, for the sake of their education.
But what she's saying is that by virtue of you speaking only English, you then start to adopt an English culture because you're not speaking vernac. So you identify with another culture and not yours.
That's not true.
So do you practice Tsonga stuff or?
Yes, exactly. We practice that. We know our culture. I'm a Sotho. I'm born Sotho. I know my culture, but I choose.
But your
to
children, by virtue of them speaking English, do they identify with their African culture?
Exactly.
Okay. So it seems that it's possible that you can speak English and still identify with your culture. CEO, Busisiwe mentioned that we live in a global world, and you literally have to have a good command of the language and know it. And to thrive in this world, you literally have to know or understand or speak English, right? What do you have to say about that?
Let's deal with the misconceptions There are two that I picked up as we speak. There is no language that is born to be business. Business is a concept. You can carry it in whatever language.
Okay.
So English is not born, was not given to the world to deal with the concept business. We do business in whatever language. So each and every language has got the capacity to do what it's supposed to be given. Let's deal with the second misconception. English is not the international language. It is among the other languages. If we check in percentage-wise, how many countries adopt English as a language of everyday officialdom, you're going to be surprised. How big is South America? How big is it?
Big.
Quite big. How big is Asia?
It's really big.
Pretty big. Is there English? No. It's not
there, but
dominating.
it's not
dominating.
Yeah.
Go to the Scandinavian countries. You don't go anywhere with English. That business that they do there, which is dominating the world, is not English, it's their language.
I want Busi to answer that.
I understand that, and I know that French is more internationally spoken than English, but also we in Africa, it is how in corporate South Africa, you need to master the language because the people in power speak English.
Yes.
So you need to know how to speak their language in order to do business with them.
That is
right. So that is what I'm saying. And us speaking English does not in any way say that we don't value our other languages. I would love to be fluent in my home language, but unfortunately, I think in English. My job is to teach English, you know.
Do you not think that it's our responsibility to change that?
Yes, it is. As parents, it is our responsibility to teach our kids.
And change that so we can do business in Tsonga, in Xhosa, in...
But unfortunately right now, in order to be in business in South Africa, we need to know...
But the Chinese don't learn. They don't have to learn English, and they do big deals.
Yes, because they are in a position to do big deals.
Why? Because they've got an interpreter.
No. They are in a financial position to do the big deals because they have the money.
But they weren't always in a financial position to do that. But I'm just saying a Chinese person won't go out of his way to learn English to do business with you.
Of course not, because he is in a position of power.
Yes.
With us trying to get into corporate South Africa and rule it, and you know, we have to then speak the language of the person that is in corporate South Africa. And unfortunately, it's people that speak English.
Doc, can you answer that?
Yeah, that's why I was dealing with those misconceptions so that we can separate facts from fiction. Yeah, because it's not necessarily... I was trained as an English teacher at the College of Education. I was teaching that even at tertiary institution. Got students in masters and doctoral that I supervised in English, but I didn't lose my Sesotho syllable. And that does not stop me from doing business in Sesotho syllable. There's an African agenda. And that African agenda should be in each one of us, where we want to stand up and contribute to the economy of the world. You're not supposed to give in to the colonial power. We need to decolonize the mind and decolonize the conception, because remember, it is through language that has got power that you are interpellated to believe that you can't do anything with your language. And immediately you've got that syndrome, then you've got inferiority complex. And that inferiority complex make you to think that your language cannot take you anywhere. So that is, it calls you to come back to the African agenda, where we want to assert to ourselves, to the world, and say, here we are. We need then to define religion. We need to define deity. We need to define spirituality in the language that can be able to do that. And in this case, it's our own languages. because of that mentality that you're bringing in, which is not your fault. It has been inculcated in all of us for a long time. Ke kgopela ho felletsa.
Ke kgopela ho stopa hanyane fela. I need to go for a quick break. When I get Kaya, please do have your say as well. Is it important for you to know your native mother tongue? That's the question we're asking today. We'll be back after the short commercial break. Continue chatting to us on Facebook and on Twitter. Our hashtags thechatroom and hashtag Vernac. We'll be back shortly.
Debate is always good. Let's chat about it. Asqad. Debate is always good. Let's chat about it. Asqad.
Do you or someone you know have a moral dilemma that you need advice on? Then contact us and come into the chat room to get assistance from our subject experts and those who have conquered challenges that are similar to yours. You can email us on the chat room at eclipsetv.co.za, or you can write us a letter and send it to PO Box 2497 Cresta 2118. Alternatively, you can get in touch with us via Facebook, Twitter, or our website www.thechatroom.co.za. There are many ways to contact us, so reach out to us now and let us get you the advice you need.
Chatroom's on.
Let's chat about it. Asqad.
Welcome back into the chat room. Is it important for you to know your mother tongue? That's the question we're asking today. Before the break, we addressed the questions and concerns that Sebolelo Mate has regarding the importance of indigenous South African languages. We got varied views from our guests, and we're about to hear if she still feels the same way. But before we do that, let's get some parting shots from our guests, starting with you, Doctor. We interrupted you just before the commercial break, and I'm going to give you an opportunity to conclude that thought.
All right, the thought is there's what we need to do. We give what is called kashet. Kashet is value. And I know the concern of my colleagues in front, my co-panelist here, is that language does not take you anywhere. And I've talked about the agenda, African agenda.
African agenda.
So our drive now would be to give African languages value that they sell, they make money, they are make sexy, so that people can feel that
How
we
do
need
we
to
do
use
that?
that.
How do we do that? How do we begin to do that? Because surely it's a long process. I know.
It's not a long process. It's much about the willpower, the political will. It's not difficult. Let's start example with the advertisement that we've got in television. How many per day do you have an advertisement in Xitsonga? Yeah, it becomes a problem.
You do have...
It's just drips and drops.
Yes.
Sometimes you can even finish the entire month without having that.
It depends on what channel you're watching.
That's what I mean.
Yes.
Then we need to look at the entire system. Does it accommodate African languages to make money? So that people can value them. Remember in the past, there were advertisements that were making serious money in Xitsonga, in Chivenda, in all other languages.
Okay. Your parting shot, a comment, Busi, based on what the doctor's saying?
In terms of what the doctor's saying, I completely agree with him. We need to value our indigenous languages and nurture them and grow them and make them part of the language of business. But until that happens, we need to master this language also. And also, knowing English and being good at it does not take anything away from my Africanness.
Yeah.
I am still very much African. I just tend to communicate more in this language.
So is it not possible to master English and our indigenous languages at the same time?
We can. There's nothing stopping us. There's nothing stopping us. I wish I could, but I'm still learning. I'm here. Maybe I'll learn Chivenda from my panelist here after the show.
I would say your closing comments.
Okay, mine is that we should, I agree with Doctor, we should learn to embrace and love our language, and we should encourage our children to do the same, because sometimes when they are negative towards the language because of what they're getting from home. So if we can encourage them to learn the indigenous language, then things will be okay. Another thing, we are the vehicle or we are the tool of taking this forward. It starts with me and you who are sitting here. If we can start to embrace it, and if we can start to promote and preserve it, then it will go much further, because this language, we should transfer it from one generation to another so that it can't die the silent death. Otherwise, we won't be able to resuscitate it. So let's just make sure that this vehicle, becomes the tools to make sure that this vehicle is moving and it's moving forward.
Is it still possible to be able to start implementing some of the stuff that you're talking about, or is it too late?
No, it's not yet too late. Remember that this learning of things, it starts at home. If they can start speaking it at home, everything will be okay. Remember, she indicated something that when the relatives are visiting, then they're judging her. They're judging her because they can't communicate with the children, because that thing is no longer there. There's a gap there on the other side, and then that the relatives are on the other side. So there are our indigenous languages. It connects relatives, it connects families, it connects everybody. It's not yet late, because learning doesn't start at school, it starts at home.
Okay. In closing, Sebolelo, what do you take away from this discussion?
When he says we have, okay, how do we implement these indigenous languages? Like I
mean, how do you start in your own home
how
now?
do I start it my own
I
home?
think by speaking it.
Yes.
How about you start off by speaking it?
Obviously, my son will answer in English,
Yes.
like he normally does.
You make him change. He will make mistakes because there's a gap. He will make mistakes, but put pressure. And the best thing, before you sleep every night, don't you pray?
We pray.
You
in
pray,
Zulu.
and when we have meal,
I pray in
don't
Zulu.
we? Then you start by teaching them the little prayer, Yasitsonga, when we eat food. Then you make sure that it's every day. Then that's why I said it is much about the willpower.
But are you
what they
willing?
want
Yes,
to
it
do.
is the willpower. Are you willing to try?
Between my heavy schedule,
Oh, you see.
But I don't think, I think it's more than just willpower. I think it's also changing Sebolelo's mindset.
Yeah.
What you were saying, CEO, because for her, she thinks if you speak English, you're more advanced.
Yes.
Whereas you need to change your mindset to start thinking your child can be just as advanced. Abulabula Sitsonga, you know?
Yeah, doesn't understand a thing.
Yes.
Don't think for him.
Okay.
Don't think for him. You don't know. He can do it. Who knew that when you were born you're going to be able to speak whatever language that was closer to you? You didn't know.
It's true.
You can't even deal with those processes.
Wow. Hi, Sebolelo, we wish you all the best. I'm interested to see how it's. Are you even going to try?
I'll try.
Or is it just, is it
I'll
like,
try. Because when I pray in Zulu.
Okay.
But they pray in English.
Okay, well, we'll follow up. We'll follow up.
And maybe something that maybe someone can add. You know, sometimes, now I'll just give an example. When I came here to Joburg, you know, I couldn't speak. You know, I was shy because there are people that look down upon my language, Venda language. I was even afraid or nervous to just speak Venda because people would be saying, so low kulumani. So that thing, you know, I had to reserve and then say that, you know what, I would rather use English than using my own mother tongue. So it's all about us embracing our languages and not looking down upon our language, and, you know, making sure that this language is important so that even other people, they don't look down upon it, so that they can also embrace it.
Well, thank you. Please be reminded that the opinions given and resolutions made in the chat room are in no way prescriptive to our guests or to you. We are merely a platform for ideas and opinions. Thank you very much for today's discussion. Very interesting. I think it's going to get a lot of South Africans thinking. Well, and that's all we have time for today. But as you know, the discussion continues on our social media platforms. Let's carry on chatting on Twitter, on Facebook, on thechatroom.co.za. Our hashtag is thechatroom, #Venak. See you online shortly. If I don't see you online, I guess it's Landelayo. From me, Sarah Tabete, and the rest of the Chatroom team. Goodbye and God bless.